Hi, my name is Theodore, and for this assignment, I chose to do on HSBC. Recently, they went through a strategic decision to switch the main focus to Asia. They believed that Asia was going to be the future of banking and give them high growth and just become the center of global trade. So, like I said, they decided to switch the main focus to Asia. But along with doing that, it came with some setbacks, or if you want to call it, um, financial decisions. In order to fund the change, they had to make some changes. So, for example, they had to cut off staff. They cut over 8,000 people in the UK and I think almost 25,000 people worldwide. So, with the change, it did come with, if you want to call it losses, or I just call it, certain changes in order to fund the movement. So yeah, like I said, that's the change they went through. The first theory I want to talk about with that one is the 8-step process by John Cutter. The 8-step process, first step, of course, being create a sense of urgency. Second, build a coalition. And then form a strategic vision, enlist a volunteer army, enable action by removing barriers, generate short-term wins, sustain acceleration, and institute change. The reason why I believe this theory really works with this one well is because it's quite clear and especially it's easy to follow, quite clear, and it's kind of relatable with this, especially with the first step. First step being create sense of urgency. As a leader or as a CEO, when you have an idea or vision, you want people to get on your side as quick as possible. And creating a sense of urgency, allows you to do that because the longer you wait in order for people to get onto your side, the chances may fly by, and before you know it, the plan that you had, you can't carry out anymore. Or it could be that, maybe competitors, the more you wait, maybe a competitor might think of the same plan and they've gone ahead and done it. So, creating a sense of urgency to get people on your side quickly is very important because, if people aren't on your side, it's going to be hard to get your plan across, to even get the go ahead with the plan, especially if it's a group of CEOs or a group of people that make decisions. If the majority of the group don't agree with your vision or are on the fence about it, you're just going to be waiting to get your plan across, and the sooner you wait, the longer you wait, the chances may fly by. So I think it's important to create a sense of urgency to get people on your side. The quicker you do that, the better it is. And so, following that, the leadership style is another sort of sub bracket I want to talk about. Leadership style, leadership's ability to get followers. That quote there, I believe, is very true. I think as a good leader, it comes with ease to get people on your side to agree with what you're doing and to lead them. I think there's many great examples of leaders, and the one example I really thought was interesting was Don Peterson and Harold Pollin, that used to work with Ford Motors back in the late 1980s. Donald Peterson was the CEO by himself at first, and he was chief executive, yeah. And in his last couple of years, Ford then hired Harold Pollin to come in, and they sort of worked together in the last 2 years of Peterson's career with Ford. And what's interesting is that they were such a contrast of leadership. Peterson was a bit more friendly, a bit more approachable. He was the one who, wanted to make work a fun environment, get along with the staff, and communicate with staff and get to know them more personally. Whereas Harold Pollin, he was more about getting results. His main focus, like I said, was to get them in results. He didn't really spend time doing the sort of stuff Peterson did, talking to staff, getting to know them well. He was more focused on getting results. And the reason why I find this interesting is because having the two different styles, I think, was very beneficial for them because, on one side you have someone who lets you to sort of, I don't want to say lay back, but lets you to communicate how you're feeling, or who wants to know about what's going on in your personal life and how you are, which can also make you feel comfortable at work and make you enjoy coming to work. But then also you've got Holland, who's focused on results. He's pushing staff to get results. And I think the contrast was great because I think if you had just one, for example, Peterson style, I think workers may become too laid back and not try the hardest to get the job done. And if it was just Poland, maybe people might hate coming into work because they feel like, Harold may be too forceful and pushing everyone too much. So I think having a contrast is such a great idea, and it created I guess you can say, the best of both worlds for the employees. The second chapter I want to talk about is the banking sector. Like I said, the plan we wanted to do was shift towards Asia. And Asia, recently, during this change, what's quite special about this change is that from 2015 when they announced the plan to 2018, they had a change of management. John Flint, the new CEO, current CEO of HSBC, he came in, but he stuck to the plan of gain a profit, and he believed that he agreed with the plan to go to Asia, and the transition of management it resulted in some people losing their jobs, whether it was the result of management or because of the strategic plan itself. But with that, what comes with that is that with the new management, some people may not necessarily like the new management because they built such an attachment to the old CEO, the old management team, the old leaders. So I think with the new manager coming in, it's quite interesting to see that they still managed to achieve the plan of going to Asia, and the fact that the plan was a success. I think, it's quite interesting to see that a whole new leader come in, and some staff may not have liked it. I think, especially with staff also losing their jobs, I think some people may have just put the blame maybe on the new CEO, even though it may not have been his fault. But because the new CEO coming in, it looks as a reason to blame someone for. I think people's upsetting, or people's people upsetting that they've lost the old manager, lost a couple of staff members, because like I said, they've built an attachment to these people. And then after that, I did a SWOT analysis, and the strengths I did was being one of the leading banks in the UK, so there's always going to be a strength, and setting up the new financial markets in Asia, which has increased their profits. But the weakness, I said, was the plan cut off staff members in order to fund the projects. I think no one likes it when someone gets fired, and so like I said, with this new plan coming in, they had to fire people, and I guess that's always going to have a negative effect. But with opportunities, it comes, new market in Asia, bringing the profits. I think it could attract more stakeholders. I think potential stakeholders would like to see that, this business in Asia, setting up the business in Asia as well, is getting profits, and also the new strategic plan paying off. It creates a better public image for HSBC. I think, like I said, it creates doing something positive always for the business, especially a big global business like HSBC, doing something global like that. It automatically just creates a good public image to see that everyone can see that they're doing well. But the threats is also important to look at, and I said Brexit, it could be a threat. Deal could cause the GDP to drop. I think when Brexit was first announced, sterling did go down a bit. So if there's no deal, it could affect the currency, which can also obviously affect the UK and affect HSBC. And like I said, another financial situation such as recession, we never know what the financial climate is going to be like. It can always change, and if it does change, for example, if recession does happen, that's going to affect a lot of banks, and HSBC could be one of them. So that's the SWOT analysis for that. And also after, what I did want to talk about was the Kubler-Ross grief thing. And I think, like I said, adapted to change. I think it's like a cycle. First you deny it, you're in denial, then anger, then bargaining, and depression, and acceptance. I think with the new manager coming in, with Flint coming in, the first part of the cycle will come in with a denial. Some people may not want the new manager. They may oppose of it. And then obviously the anger of old manager leaving and staff losing jobs, it comes in anger. But then I think eventually you have to accept it, and of course you have to accept it as your job, and you move on. And eventually you might start to like the new manager. So I think this theory is quite important. And Kubler says, it's not really clear, the cycle. It's not really clear how long it takes for individuals to get over from one stage or another of the cycle. And I think people deal with grief and other things in their own way. But it's very important to see this. I think this grief theory is very relatable. I think even in everyday life, I think it's very relatable with it. And I believe this theory was perfect for the situation of the new management coming in, and this whole plan of whole change and shift shaft of HSBC. I think this theory was very, very relatable to it. The last chapter I want to talk about was the impact of change. I think when you're making change, I think it's important to involve everyone. Employees, they want to know what's going on with their business, of course. And I think with the strategic plan, I don't necessarily know if HSBC did it or not, but I think to do questionnaires or feedback forms with the staff, even people that work in the everyday banks, from Monday to Friday, leading up to the CEOs, I think it would have been important to get staff feedback just to get an idea of what staff feel. CEOs don't necessarily have to agree with it; they may still go ahead with the plan. But I think to do that would give employees a sense of involvement, and I think that's where the Maslow's hierarchy comes in. the massive hierarchies is split into different stages, and the first stage I agree with safety needs and job security. I feel like giving employees a part in decision making could boost morale of employees, thus creating a feeling of job satisfaction at HSBC. I think employees just want to voice their opinions. They always want to feel like they're being heard, and whether they don't get what they want in this change, they may start to see smaller changes happening that they did ask for. So I think it's important to let employees' voice be heard, and actually sometimes take on board what they do and try to do it. Of course, not everyone can get what they want, but it's nice to just see little changes. Because I feel like if you start to see little changes, you feel like your voice is being heard and you're more motivated to come into work and try even harder than what you usually do. And then the second part I thought was of the hierarchy needs, what I feel like is very relatable, is the esteem needs, the feeling of accomplishment. I think the employees who voted for in the strategic change, especially in the hierarchy of the business of HSBC, I feel like they will probably have a feeling, a sense of accomplishment. The fact that the change has gone through and the fact that the change is a success, I feel like the employees there were people who had a say in it, who believed that they should do it. I feel like they would have a sense of accomplishment because now they can see that their idea is actually paying off and is bringing them rewards. So I feel like if you get that, you're not only as good for the people, but I think it's good for self-esteem. And like I said, it brings more people to come into work more, and they're more likely to try harder, go the extra mile when it comes to work because they're happy with what they've done. They're happy to see that what they've said has gone through. They're happy to see that the HBC is doing what they've asked. I feel that's more important. I feel like with every employee, you always want to feel like you are being heard. So I feel like this hierarchy was very relatable to this sort of situation. And that's it for the assignment. I believe overall, the change was a success. I think, like I said, they gained a profits from their strategic change to trips to Asia. Like I said, the negative, of course, was firing people. But I feel like with a change, it's bound to happen. I think you're always going to have to make some losses, whether it's financially, whether it's within the business. There are going to be some losses, but I feel like with the losses, it helps you grow. So, like I said, you can't really get everything you want, but I feel like with this change, they definitely made a good idea. And yeah,